Welcome, young artists, to our Expressing Joy Through Art activity. I'm so excited to have you here with us for this special activity. Today's lesson is inspired by the famous artist Wassily Kandinsky, who believed that art could evoke emotions and express inner feelings. Wassily Kandinsky was a famous artist who loved to paint colorful and abstract pictures. Do you know what abstract art is? Abstract art is a type of art that doesn't try to look like things we see in the real world. Instead of painting or drawing things like people, animals, or objects, abstract artists use colors, shapes, lines, and patterns to create their artwork. Imagine looking at a painting that doesn't look like anything you've seen before. It might have lots of different colors, like red, blue, and yellow, all mixed together. It might have shapes that are round, square, or even squiggly lines. Some parts of the painting might be big and bold, while others might be small and delicate. Abstract art is all about using your imagination and feelings to understand and enjoy the artwork. When you look at an abstract painting, you can think about how it makes you feel. Like, for example, does it make you feel happy, excited, or calm? The colors, shapes, and lines in the painting can help you feel different emotions. One of the great things about abstract art is that everyone can have their own interpretation of what the artwork means. It's like a puzzle that you can solve in your own way. You might see something in the painting that someone else doesn't see, and that's okay. Abstract art is all about expressing yourself and seeing things in a new and creative way. So, the next time you see an abstract painting, don't worry if you don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. Just let your imagination run wild and enjoy the colors, shapes, and lines. You might discover something amazing that you've never seen before. Okay, back to Mr. Kandinsky. Wassily Kandinsky was born in Russia a long time ago on December 16, 1866. When he was young, Kandinsky studied law and economics, but he couldn't resist his love for art, so he decided to become a painter. Kandinsky believed that art could make people feel different emotions, just like music does. He thought that colors and shapes could express feelings like joy, sadness, and excitement. Instead of painting things that looked real, he painted shapes and lines that made people imagine and feel things. In 1911, Kandinsky started a group called the Blue Rider Group. They wanted to explore the spiritual and symbolic side of art. Kandinsky wrote a book about art and even taught a famous art school called the Bauhaus. Kandinsky's paintings were full of bright colors and interesting shapes. Some of his paintings look like a big party of colors, while others look like a beautiful dance. He used his imagination to create amazing artworks that still inspire artists today. If you ever see a painting that looks like a colorful puzzle or a dancing rainbow, it might be a Kandinsky. So, the next time you feel happy or excited, try expressing it through art, just like Wassily Kandinsky did. Use bright colors and let your imagination run wild. Who knows, maybe you'll create a masterpiece just like him. Let's take a look at some of Kandinsky's paintings. Here's an image of one of Kandinsky's paintings called Composition 8. Let's take a look at this. What do you see when you look at this painting? Does it look like it represents people? Do you see many shapes in there? Yes, I see a lot of shapes in there too, but I also see a lot of use of colors as well. Let's take a look at the composition as well. One thing about Kandinsky's paintings is that they were always well balanced. Do you know what balance means? In a work of art, balance means that elements, objects, figures, and shapes are spread throughout the composition, so it's not all on one side, like this, for example. Kandinsky always made sure that his works were well balanced. Let's take a look at this black circle with a red hue around it over on the left side. Would you say this circle feels heavy compared to the other objects, or does it feel light? Now, let's take a look at the right top corner of the painting. What's interesting here is that you have completely different shapes, but there's a lot going on with many different objects and shapes over on the right corner. This makes the composition feel balanced. Let's take a look at some of the other shapes in here. Would you say all the lines are straight and angled? For example, this here is an angle, and here's a straight line. Do you see any other types of lines? Yes, I do too. I see this squiggly line right here. Now, let's talk about color. What different colors do you see in this composition? You're welcome to answer these questions out loud or in your head or however you want to. Now, how does this painting make you feel? It's okay if you don't necessarily have a direct emotion to it. We all interpret art differently, so if you don't have an emotional feeling, that's okay. There is no right or wrong answer. Now, let's take a look at this painting. This is a painting by Edward Munch called Evening on Karl Johann Street. What do you see when you look at this painting, and what's different about it compared to Kandinsky's painting? Do you see shapes in the painting? Yes, there are shapes in this painting, but the shapes in this painting represent things. For example, look at the rectangles in the corner of this building here. There's also rectangles here. These look like they represent windows. Now, what are some of the elements that your eyes immediately go to when you look at this painting? Do you see people? Yes, I see people as well, and my eyes always seem to go right there, but your eyes might travel elsewhere. Let's talk about color. How do you feel about the color usage of this painting? When we look at this compared to Kandinsky's, how is it different? Darker tones. Now, how does this painting make you feel? Again, you might have different feelings from the painting, so there really is no right or wrong answer. But how does it make you feel when you look at it? Some might say that you feel sad, that the colors are dark and moody. If we look at the faces, the expressions look serious. This painting is very different because it has representation of people and buildings in it. Now, when looking at the composition, would you say this is balanced? Remember, balance means when shapes, figures, elements are spread out through the composition. Now, when we look at this, it does feel heavy on the bottom left corner because all the people are depicted here. But if we look at the top right corner, we have this strange shape. It kind of looks like an ominous shape, but it's right here in the top right corner. Because this shape is big, it does help to make the composition feel a bit more balanced. But to me, it still feels a little off. What do you think? If we stood this painting up and put it on something that could balance it, do you think one side would lift up and the other side would fall heavy down? Which side do you feel is most heaviest? I feel like the bottom left corner, for me anyways, feels most heaviest. So to me, it is a little bit less balanced than Kandinsky's painting. All right, my artists, so now that we learned a little bit about paintings and color and art, I'd like for you to sit for a second and think about what colors make you feel a certain way. Are there any colors that make you feel strongly over the other? Go ahead and take a minute and look at the pictures and see how the colors make you feel in both paintings. Okay, my artists, so it's time to make some of our own joyful works of art. I'd like you to think about the colors that you'd like to use, and we're going to make our own version of Kandinsky's paintings. Or, if you wanted to, you can paint whatever you like that makes you feel joyful and happy. It doesn't necessarily have to be shapes. We're using Kandinsky's painting as an example, but really have fun because you can use expressive lines and colors and paint however you like in a joyful way. The materials that we need will be white paper, and then you can use either paints, crayons, markers, or whatever you like. If you use paints, you'll need paintbrushes, water cups, a palette, and then you can also use pencils and erasers too. Another good option would be oil pastels or colored pencils for additional details. Feel free to use whatever you have. Crayons and markers would work beautifully too. Okay, my artists, so before we begin our drawings or paintings, we're going to do a warm-up activity to get us excited and engaged. I'd like for you to stand up, and as this music is playing, go ahead and jump around and dance and freely express yourself however you like to the beat of the music. Do so in a joyful way. You could even use some of the dance moves that you learned from Katrina from yesterday's lesson. Go ahead, have fun, listen to the music, and shake your body out and get joyful and excited. All right, my artists, are you ready? Before we sketch out our composition, I'd like for you to stop and think about what brings you joy and happiness. Take a moment and think about some of the things that make you feel full of joy and happy. Now, we're going to sketch out onto our white piece of paper some of the things that make us feel joyful. And again, it doesn't have to represent people. It can be abstract, like Kandinsky. You can use shapes, you can use movement, you can also use expressive lines and colors to represent joy. One of the things that I like for you to think about is what we talked about, which is balance. You can either keep your composition fully balanced, or you could be really playful and have a heavy side on one side and a lighter side on the rest, so it almost feels like your painting or drawing is super heavy in one corner. Again, this painting is yours, and you can create it however you like. The main idea is that we are having fun and expressing our emotions through color, shape, balance, and lines. Go ahead and start to experiment with different shapes and arrangements, just like Kandinsky did in his artwork. But the most important thing is that you feel joy when you're experimenting, so have fun while doing so. Go ahead and hit pause, and then when you're ready, come back and hit play, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, my artist, so now that your main composition is all mapped out, feel free to go ahead and fill it in wherever you like, and you can add details and different colors and different expressive lines, shapes, and brushwork to your work of art. Go ahead and add in your finishing details. You can pause me here again and then hit play when you're ready. All right, my little artists, now that your masterpieces are finished, I'd love for you to share your work of art with family and loved ones that are nearby. Tell them about what you did today. I'd love for you to explain the creative choices and emotions that you wanted to convey in your drawing or painting and how you chose to do so. Talk to them about how these different shapes, colors, and elements make you feel. If you added information about Wassily Kandinsky, you might really impress someone. Congratulations on your beautiful works of art. Please feel free to share your work of art through the comments below. If you have a parent or guardian nearby, you can ask them to take a picture and post it in the comments if you'd like to share it. Thank you so much for joining us for this joyful art activity. Congratulations on your beautiful works of art and for expressing joy through your art. Art can be such a powerful tool for self-expression and emotional release. So when you're in the mood to feel creative, That's a great time to break out your markers, crayons, pencils, and paper and to dive into your own personal masterpiece. I had so much fun with you, and I hope you all had so much fun making your beautiful masterpieces. I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow for day 5, which will be an exciting mindfulness journey to fully wrap up our 5-day December Cultivating Joy Challenge. This is going to be a fun and exciting journey that will make you feel accomplished for all your efforts this week. I hope you all are proud of yourselves and have a wonderful and creative rest of your day. See you tomorrow.